All right, so welcome back. First things first, how are you guys liking this book? Carnegie? Okay. I hope well, because you have a reflection paper due Sunday on the first part of it, which is each book is funny. I have several versions of this, and like the chapter numbers are different, but it's the same material. So that's why I broke things down by part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. So Carnegie's book, your first reflection paper is due this Sunday by 11:59 p.m. While we do have Mind Tap, and that's where you see your reading and some videos and some your quizzes and that type of thing, any papers you will turn in Brightspace. You know, that can be kind of confusing and tough to manage when you have 4 or 5 different classes. So if you get any confusion there, don't hesitate to send me a quick message and I'll try to clarify. But again, this Sunday, part 1, reflection. So what am I looking for there? Well, in terms of the construction of the paper, there are some very straightforward, and it's not a term paper, it's a couple pages, and there's some very straightforward details in the syllabus that I'll let you guys read. But what am I really looking for? Your understanding of it, yes, but your application of it more. Okay, your application of it more. What did it mean to you? And I heard from Rebecca, and that was great. That's exactly what I want to see. I'm already thinking, all right, she's working on her paper. Because she sent me I think it was in Target. Was that Sunday? Yeah, I was in Target on Sunday, and I looked down, I'm like, I had my watch, and I was like, oh, so I looked at it, and she sent me a picture of a passage, and she said, Dale Carnegie just convicted me. Wasn't that how you said it? That is exactly what I'm looking for. Just write me a couple pages on that. That's exact. It doesn't have to be the entire. I don't want a book report. You guys have been doing those since the 3rd grade. My daughter's in the 3rd grade. She's doing those now. I know that you can say the story had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had an end. I don't care. I've read this book a lot, and that was before I was really in academia. So that should tell you something. You guys know what I did for a decade with sales, and this is a good book. So first of all, it's short. Okay. Second of all, you know, it could have used some pictures. I always enjoy books with pictures. That'd be great. But those are really magazines. But it's a classic for a reason. So just tell me what part 1 meant to you. And some of you might be behind. Jump into part 1 now. You could finish. You could do it almost in one night, I think. And I'm a slow reader. I can do it in one night. Okay. So here, do this. So that's any questions about that? I'm not telling you. I'm not looking for well, Carnegie says this, and there was a Harvard study by Jones in 1967. No, God, please don't send me that. I get enough of that in my life, okay? Do I strike you as the type that wants in-text citation on this type of reflection paper? Reflection paper. And if you cite Carnegie, I might have to lower you some points because I know it's Carnegie. I signed the book. Don't worry about your work cited on this particular stuff. I want your work to reflect it. I want you to relay what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. I told you guys last week one of my weaknesses sometimes is humility. God made me a little, cocky's not the right word, a little out there, a little aggressive. How about that? So that naturally made me a decent salesperson, but if I'd embraced that completely, would I have been a good salesperson? Nobody wants to. You ever been to like a car dealership or somewhere, or just been somewhere and somebody's tweeting? The guy at Costco is trying to sell you DirecTV. They're too pushy, aren't they? Do you want to be around that person? Actually, for a while there, I had a guy at Costco sell me DirecTV. Why? Because he sat up next to me, and I was looking at like some kind of computer monitor or something over there, you know? And he was just really friendly. He started up a conversation. He took an interest in what my needs were. Next thing I know, I'm dropping Charter, picking up DirecTV. All right? He did the things that we talked about in the previous chapters. So we're on chapter 3. And we talked about relationship building, personal selling. We talked about listening. We talked about trust and ethics. Keep in mind, trust is built over time. Everybody wants to walk in there and make a huge sale and walk out. That's not how that's done. And if you recall in my video, and I think we said in the class last week, it's okay. Do you guys remember what I said? It's okay to say to your customer if they ask you a question that you don't know. Please say that. People think to be this salesperson, you have to put on this persona that you're invincible, that you know everything. I'm here to tell you, I sold products pharmaceuticals that were complex, and if they asked me a very technical question, I had to ask a scientist. I couldn't make it up right there, and if I did, they'd know it, and then they'd never buy from me again. I had to sell clay pots without a catalog. And it's like, I think it's about yay high, about this big. If I gave them exact specs and I didn't know it, and they got to their business and it didn't work, they would never buy from me again. What did I say? You know what? I don't know. That's a good question. Let me get on the horn with somebody up at, home base that knows what that is. I'll have them run out there and do a measurement and send us a picture. So, what's the greatest benefit of saying, I don't know? Number one, honesty. Number two, you're building trust. Number three, what? We didn't really get into this. What did you just set up for yourself? A return visit. Now you have a reason to come back. I'm here to tell you, the hardest thing you'll ever do is a cold call, where you get to a place where they don't know you. You try to let them know you're not some weirdo. You're a nice person, but the hardest thing, think about if you're like talking to somebody you're kind of interested in. The hardest thing is starting a conversation, is it not? Okay? Starting the conversation. You ever left something at somebody's house so you have a reason to go back? If you leave it, hey, you know what? I don't know, but I can get you an answer. You have a reason to come back. You have a reason to keep talking. Then you file away stuff you learned in that. When I was in pharmaceuticals, it's very, very fancy. They gave us a computer like this, and you had a call encounter notes. And so you would put in that I just saw Dr. Swanson. And in this meeting, here's what we talked about. And the next time I go to visit Dr. Swanson, I pull up my call notes, and it tells me everything we just talked about. So I walk back in, start talking just like I left. Literally, start talking just like I left. In my Pennington Seed days, I had a legal pad. And eventually I got folders in one of those little accordion files on my passenger seat. All right, I put in there, here's what me and Wendell Lovett were talking about. Okay. Next time I come in, he said, hey, some other thing, you're having problems with, you get a pallet of fertilizer in, and they have very low margins in terms of money they have on a pallet of fertilizer. Okay. And if the bottom bag, his greatest pet peeve is if the bottom bag of that fertilizer is busted, all of his profits just spilled on the floor. How did I make sales with Wendell Lovett, Rankin, Georgia? I said, Wendell, I will guarantee our product to the bottom bag. If you get to the bottom bag and all of your profit spills on the floor, give me a call, we'll credit your account. Now, did he pocket that as profit? No, but did he get his money back and credit towards buying more with me? Yes. Who did he start buying fertilizer from? You hate to give out money for free, but if all of his profit just spilled on the floor and one company won't help him out and another company will, who will he move his business to? Also, it's bad news that I just lost money, but really in the big scheme of things, fertilizer is just one thing I'm selling. Okay? I'm selling them a whole array of 20,000 different products. Hunting mixes, grass seed, clay pots, okay, all these other things. I'll take a hit in one area for him to be my guy, want me to buy everything else from him. Okay? That's a short-term investment for a long-term gain. Plus, I never wanted to hear that a seed bag got busted or a fertilizer bag got busted. It's annoying. I have to give him money back. But did it give me a reason to go back in there? Yep, I'd go in and say, hey, man, I'm sorry this bag's busted like that. What we're going to do is we're going to put a little more cardboard on the bottom of that pallet to make sure those wood nails don't poke through there and do anything. We're going to try to do that just for you. And it builds relationships. It builds trust. But it gives you reasons to go back in there and talk. Never, ever be upset for a reason to talk with a customer. Even if they're angry with you and want to yell at you, it's an opportunity to have an at-bat. Right? And if you can deal well with people who are upset and talk them down, that's not easy. And sometimes people just want to be upset. It's one of the reasons why I got off Facebook. People who are professionally upset. Okay? Start stealing my joy. But if a customer's motivated to talk to you, say, thank you, Lord. All right. Now, you might not walk out of there saying, thank you, Lord. You might walk out there saying, bless them. All right. Last night I was putting my son to bed, and he always wants me to tell him a Charleston story because we lived in Charleston for about 10 years. And what a 9.5. And I told him a story about that feed and seed down in Savannah with the parrot. And he said, "That parrot bit you every time?" I said, "Yes, sir, he did." He said, "What did it feel like?" And my son is so tickled, it's just adorable. I said, "He feel like this?" I went on and grabbed him here. And I said, "Well, on the way out, he grabbed me." It was really fun. So don't think I'm just teaching you all this stuff. Sometimes you got to let the parrot bite you. But if you let the parrot bite you, it'll upset the customer or something. Busted seed bag. Some demented woman who will let a large bird bite the crap out of your shoulder every time. You can still make sales. Just persist. Sound good? All right, so that's kind of my opening lines. All right. This chapter actually starts to get into a little bit more about who you are selling to. And the chapter is entitled Understanding Buyers. Now, what are buyers? Your customers, right? Well, what are they really? Say it again. They're people, man. They have good days and bad days. They have sad days and happy days. You hope you catch them on a happy day where they just got a big tax refund and they can buy the product. All right? But if you're going to have a relationship with someone and they're going to trust you and you're going to trust them, don't you have to be there in the good and the bad? In fact, you get married, they pretty much spell that out. Through thick and thin. Happiness and want. Sickness and health. Boy, has the last year and a half put a whole nother twist on sickness. It's crushed me a little bit. Quite frankly, I like interpersonal relationships. So let's talk about, I'm going to jump ahead because they talk about selling, the buying process, but I think the buying process is informed by the buyer. If I can find my paper clips, there it is. All right. Do you know there are 4 really generally types of people? Yeah, okay. You're probably going to tell us. I hope this works because I think it's the only thing I got. Actually, no, there's more over here. All right. There are 4 different types of people. Okay. Now I need a book holder. I'm going to do it in the right order. And that one doesn't work, so let's try again. Y'all find red offensive? You do? We're going to try the blue. It's like a light blue. It's kind of a North Carolina blue. It's kind of a sissy blue, the UNC. So I find that offensive. But it's better than Wolfpack red, I guess. We'll try with the blue. Let's see if we have any success there. You have 4 different types of people. I'm working off of figure 3.7 in your text, in your hymnal. All right. You have amiables. And amiables are defined as relationship oriented. They are also slower paced. This is your long sell. They will buy from you if they trust you. This is the classic, we've got to be in it for the long game. Can you take a sales strategy where you avoid all amiables and you just look for quick sales? Is that sustainable? You're not in sales you hope for a month. You're in sales you hope for a career, for 10 years or more, okay? You better start building relationships day one, all right? Then you have the expressive. Well, sorry, there's a little crack in the board here, and I'm trying to. And expressives are also relationship oriented, but they are fast-paced. The funny thing is there's 4 of these, going to be 4 blocks. Okay? You can start to put yourself in one of these categories. If this is me, I'm an expressive. I'm fast-paced, and I believe in relationships. Okay? I teach fast. I make friends fast. I try to keep friends. I teach y'all, and I like the fact that we're friendly. I'm an expressive. If I'm your customer, you have to play to that. If you come in and I'm very quick on things, and you're not very quick on things, are we going to get along? So really, when it gets to sales, boy, you got to know who your people are. Your next are analytics. They're task-oriented. And slow-paced. All right. Lastly, you have your drivers. They are task-oriented. They're fast-paced. Now, if you haven't caught on yet, these people tend to be fast-paced. I'm more over here. I tend to be more up here than I am down here. Okay? These people are slow-paced on this side, and they tend to be quieter, right? And analytic, more quiet, right? An amiable, quiet to start, but if you can get them talking, you get together. These people, you may never know if they like you. That's just how it is. Okay? So we can break this down in terms of low assertiveness and high assertiveness. There's a phrase, there's a type that people say this person's more what? Type A? Like out there, energy, gotta get it done, fast paced. Type A, right? We're talking about psychology here. All right? People up here tend to be highly responsive. And on this end, here, low responsive. Low responsiveness. Responsive. So you have these quadrants. Every person you ever encounter, okay, will be one of these four. All right. Now, they may tend to be to one side or the other, one quadrant or the other. They're not exactly that. I think if you, where would y'all peg me? Forget, because it's hard to do self-reflection on that. I want y'all to do it on the corner. Where would y'all put me? If you put a dot, like you did, you put a dot on here. Expressive. High expressive or some driver? Here, let me find a different color so it's standing out. I know where I put myself. In fact, let's just do that. Let's put ourselves on. Okay? I'd love to put myself up here, but I'm really about right there. You see what I'm saying? I have some driver tendencies, but I'm definitely expressive. I'm in that quadrant. All right? I'm definitely type A. Okay? Relationships matter to me. I am definitely fast-paced, which means brings me down here. Sometimes I'm task-oriented, but at the end of the day, I'm thinking about, like, in terms of being a professor, what's the best thing I can do today to improve our educational relationship? Okay? Educational relationship. So I tend to be there. Rodney, where are you at?
It could be like, if it was coordinates like a graph, I'd be like -3, -1.
So here, but over here?
Yeah.
I really think I'm a really responsive.
Let me know if I'm too high or too
Right
low.
there.
Right there?
You feel like half amiable, half expressive?
Yeah.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah, I would almost say here, but I'm really here. But yeah, you can be on the line. You're a little bit in each, right?
Yes, sir. I was probably the same thing, maybe a little bit more towards the amiable side. Most of the time.
I probably have to say the like top corner.
here?
Driver.
Right here.
No,
Right here.
Yeah, like right there.
Look at that. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us here today, and you folks watching from home. Okay? We put one in every quadrant, did we not? Did we talk about that before? So if I'm a sales rep, all right, forget where I'm at. If I'm a sales rep, does it benefit me to know what type you are? Will it affect my message? When I called on physicians, I had a lot down here because they're just scientists, right? They tend to be a little more reserved, a little more deliberate, and definitely had to bring the data. But did I have physicians who were over here? Did I have physicians who were over here? I had a guy here, literally, this guy in Somerville, he saw 90 patients a day. I don't know how. He's a machine. I would hold out my pad. They have to sign. It's like an electronic thing. They have to, and a stylus. They have to sign for the samples. He would draw a line on his way to the next. Never spoke to the man at all. He was oriented on his tasks and very fast paced. Did he care about my product? Yeah. Was I going to be able to talk to him about it? No. Did that offend me? Maybe a little. Here's the thing. All that mattered is he came into his little drug closet. They had like these little closets with samples, and he looked like a robot. Okay, he looked like, all right. So Terminator, you know how they have like the different ones that look like different things? They would look like this guy. Okay, because that's how a machine would look. He would look. I'm looking for a nasal spray, and if mine was there, that's what he wrote. Did I know that? I didn't have to say crap to that guy. I just had to be there every week with bukuda samples. That's how I sold him. I had another lady over here, and she was busy. She was very deliberate. How was I going, within 30 seconds, because that was, 30 seconds was eons of time as a pharmaceutical company. You're lucky if you get 30 seconds, because these people are busy. How did I sell her? Could I do it in 30 seconds? Over time, 30 seconds, you know, times 10, I started to get into minutes, all right? That's what 5 minutes, okay? I'd buy her lunch, and she'd come sit with me for 30 minutes. That's how I sold her. This guy doesn't eat. At the end of the day, he goes to the closet, power's down, and they plug him in, okay? I couldn't have lunch. I couldn't have a word. He would look at me like if I tried to say something, I just finally said, have a nice day. He drew his line. Literally. I have a tablet. Straight line. Usually corporate will call you up and say, are you giving away drugs to just anyone now? Because this isn't a signature. I said, that is a signature. I can promise you that's a signature. I kind of wish this was like one of the sitcoms where I could like tell you this story and then somehow we could all flash back and y'all could watch me doing this. This happened. I ain't selling him in person. I ain't bringing him lunch. He doesn't eat, okay? And I'm not, this lady, I had to have my crap together. It was like doing homework, right? Like exam day. I had to present to her because she was very analytical. But if I brought her lunch, I could chip away. These used to drive me nuts. Everybody thinks you're amiable. I want you to be happy. You're amiable means you're approachable, you're happy. They would drive me nuts. They would drive me absolutely nuts. I'd rather deal with any of them but the host. Why? You have the best drug on the market. I am writing it. I'm so happy you're here. In the pharmaceutical game, you don't know if what they're telling you is true for 3 months. Large pharmaceutical companies buy data from pharmacies. So like the big Rite Aids, Walmart, and all that, and that tells you what that person wrote. It is delayed 90 days. So today I'm selling you, and in May I figured out you're not lying to me. These are some lying son of a guns. You have the best drug ever, and they didn't write a single script in 90 days. Why did they tell I had the best drug ever? They just wanted me to be happy because they're amiable, and it's easy for them to do that. Now, can I roll up in there 90 days later and say, you lied? No, but can I hold them a little bit accountable? All right, you're eating my food, you're taking all my samples. They literally take my samples, which are thousands of dollars, give them a sample of Nasacort, but write them Flonase. Killing me a little bit, you understand? Well, slowly inside, my pharmaceutical sales heart is dying. Okay? Can I hold them accountable? Yeah. They want to make people happy. And if they want to make people happy, sometimes you have to sell them by telling them you're not happy. But can you go up in there and call them a liar? No, it's not Maury Povich. But you got to go up in there and say, I really need to understand what's going on here. Well, really, my kid loves your Nasacort, so I'm letting him use all the samples, but I'm writing the other. If Nasacort's the choice for your kid, why aren't you writing it for your patients? You're killing me. I didn't want to tell you now. I just want you to be happy. Now, two things can happen there. I can either redirect the conversation and try to wait another 3 months and see if I can get them going. And I have to read that, do I not? That's why the notes after every call, I feel like I'm making progress. Or this is going nowhere. If it's going nowhere, do I keep going there? No. I move on to another customer who's a different one. Might be an Amiable, might be one of the other three. Expressives. These are probably my most favorite to call on. Why? Because they're most like me. You generally like being around people who are very similar to you are. These are the guys that we would do practical jokes on the other doctors with, that we would have fun. Okay? These are the people, either one, that you're not selling them the first day. It's like a football game. This is just kickoff, the first call. You try to go in there and not say curse words and try to be nice and try to find out their interest and build a relationship over time. These, you could literally, if you could get time, convince them in one visit because they are convinced on data. Okay? These are not that way. They're fast-paced, but not like this guy. These guys will have lunch with you. Okay? All right? This guy will have lunch with you, but it's going to take time to build that, and they will literally write your product because they like you better than the other ones. Always my favorite because they were most like me. Still friends with several of them. We follow each other on the gram. Instagram for the kids. Okay. Hey, Ed Giove, if for some reason you're watching this, you're my guy. You're an expressive, and that's why we got along. You're always pretty cool to me. I appreciate it. Y'all see somebody on my Instagram that says Giove, and we're going back and forth. He's a doctor on Daniel Island. He's internal medicine. The coolest dude. Just would hang out with him. He's the guy when we did like the downtown dinners and had the speakers come in for our drug or whatever. I just invite him and just hang out in the back with him because I didn't really have to work that night. But like, he's the dude you had beers with. Just a funny dude. Just a great guy, the best ever. Why do I think he's a great guy and a funny dude? Because he's right here beside me. And it's that friend you have that you kind of clown on everybody else with. That was my guy. I don't know if you felt the same way, dude, but I miss you. I don't miss being a drug rep because I got tired of asking for everything, but the money was good. It's better than what I'm doing now, but I miss that guy. Why'd I miss him? Because he's like me. Generally speaking, we probably all have friends who are like this, like in different spectrum, and we play off each other. Like you might both be relationship oriented, but one of them's a little faster than the other in terms of getting things done, and vice versa. But it's a lot more when you go into your sales training. They say, all right, here's our product, and here's how you sell it. You need different tools in your toolbox because the people are different. The people are so much different. Like with the BA, you compare like psychology and business. Okay, because that matters. That matters, man. It matters. And as soon as in my notes, my little laptop notes, I'm sure some rep with GSK is still using that method. Because one thing I really try to do is put people in these boxes. And if I was the first time I was going in there and I had no insight, I have to figure out kind of what these people are. But if I go in there and I know they're expressive, I can cut up a little bit. If I go in there and I know they're analytical and I try to cut up, how's that going to play? Here's the crazy thing. This one practice This one practice with the robot, right? That's the Somerville. He's a driver. They had 4 closets in the office. I kid you not. There was a main hallway and a main hallway. In this hallway, in this closet, it was a big practice. There's 4 doctors. I had this guy. I come down the hall. It wasn't exactly laid out like this, but I'm literally going to lay it out like this. There's a closet over here. I had that guy. I came down this hall. I had her. I went over here. There was this person. This is the one I usually got along with because that was easier for me. You want to talk about like psyching yourself out? You got to remember which hall you got to go down and how you're going to act. There are 4 different halls in that practice laid out just like that. And different personalities down each hall. And they kind of looked alike. So you're like, crap, where am I? Because if I went up there and, you know, the one robot guy comes up there and says, hey man, how's it hanging? Whoops. That's this guy, not this guy. Where are you? He's like literally writing notes to myself on my hand. I'd say, oh, I'm just trying to remember who sample needs what. No, trying to figure out how to approach the different ones. Okay. Same thing if you're on a car lot. Same thing if you're selling insurance. Same thing if you're selling securities and stocks. Same thing if you're selling whatever. And then, you know, I've not done you justice. What are you guys maybe looking to sell?
Ourselves.
Yourselves, all right? But don't you have to sell yourself to all 4 of these people? You've got to walk into a job interview and somehow make small talk to try to figure out where you're going to throw this dart on the board. Because something that might appeal to this person turns this person off. You understand? Now we're playing some next level 3D chess, are we not? I'm not trying to psych you out, but really, you don't have to remember the names. You just remember, okay, this person seems a little more slow-paced and a little more analytical. I perhaps shouldn't have the bubbly talk. This person seems expressive and might want to hear about my puppy. If you start talking to this person about puppies, are you getting anywhere? They're like, I once had a puppy too. Let's move on. I pray that you do not get this person in the interview. My first big interview was with Dow AgroScience in Indianapolis. I was at the Clemson Michelin Career Center. So kind of imagine P-Dev on steroids for like 20,000 people. And they were bringing people in, interviewing different things. And I have no idea. I must have threw the dart right and hit the right, hit for average, right? Hit a double. Okay. I got invited to fly to Indianapolis to interview with Dow AgroScience for a sales position somewhere in America. They wouldn't even tell you where they put you. They just decide when you got there. That was the first time I ever flew. I'd never flown in an airplane and I was 20 years old. Just the old country boy, right? Dow AgroScience is pretty good to go for a guy who grew up on a farm. That's a good job. I thought they'd send me to Nebraska or something. I did well in the initial interview. They paid for me to fly to Indianapolis. They had about 4 of us. They picked us up in a limo from the airport, me and another guy from Clemson and 2 other guys from other places. I was like, man, holy smokes, this is awesome. 3 things I learned there. Number 1, I kind of like flying. I'd never flown before. I was more terrified. I'm talking cold sweats because I've never been in a giant tube and launched into the air. Okay? That's the first time I flew. Second, never ride backwards in a limo. Makes you motion sick, at least it does for me. Okay? I felt nauseous like the first half of my interviews. Third, it was I was going to say panel interview, but that's not right. That's with like 3 people, and you interview with all 3 at once, and that's a freaking firing squad. Avoid that and all. Get out, This was the thing where they had like this rotating car wash. All day long, you interview with different people. We actually do that here at SMC when we're looking at new faculty. We have you meet with, you'd have a reception with coffee down in Ellis, and then you would meet with the committee and interview, and then you would meet with the provost, and then you would meet with Scott, and then you would meet with people from the cabinet, and you would get, it's like a car wash. By the time you get out of here, you're like, damn, I don't care if I got this job, I just want to go home. Okay? That was how Dow was set up. And so there was 4 of us, and I'm here to tell you, of those 4, just like when we put dots here, we all ended up in different quadrants. Of those 4, I drew this fool first. I will never forget it. I was cocky. I was overconfident. I thought way too much of myself. Talking to you. And I started talking about how I was God's gift to sales. How I wouldn't be stopped. You see where I'm going here? That driver says, no, I'm good. I'm good. You're trash. Do you know what he said? He took a pencil out of his pocket. I thought it was going to be like the Joker scene. You know, he rammed my head into it and that was going to be it. Actually, that hadn't been out yet, but you get what I'm saying. Set it on this is a marker, but he set a pencil on the table and he said, okay, sell me this. Y'all, I fell flat on my face. Why? It was probably before the fall. That fella made me look like a fool, and then he told everybody else about it. I then went through the rest of the day and interviewed with these other people. And with Dow, you had to have, from what I understand, a unanimous approval to be hired. I had 3-1. They told me later that day when I got back, I'd flown back later that night or whatever and gotten back to Clemson. I was so confused. It was like a time change in the middle there. And Indianapolis actually doesn't change time. They just change time zones. I was screwed up. I walked home backwards. Okay? I got that call and they said, man, everybody in here loves you except for one guy. I overplayed my hand. I didn't know this. I was a cocky fool. Had I got this guy first, he probably said, yeah, you're funny. Ha ha ha. You know, no, but seriously, what are you about? And I could have redirected. I walked into the landmine that was the driver. I didn't get the job. It was a fun trip, but I didn't get the job. In other news, the other guy who happened to get the job, his name was Jonathan as well. He was a nice guy. He got the job. They sent him out to Nebraska. He quit like 6 weeks later. But he hated it. So sometimes I think the Lord works in mysterious ways. My foolish pride cost me because I believe it here. So that said, let my lesson be your lesson. You can be dealing with different people. When you're selling yourself, Rodney, because that is correct, that's the most important thing you will sell. Don't go in there acting like God's gift to anything. You know why? Because they will humble you. Yeah, absolutely. Figure 3-6. But they will humble you. And I can't remember the guy's name, but I can remember his face and the look on his face. It's like I was playing chess for the first time and I made the stupidest move I could possibly move on my opening move, and he said checkmate, like one move later. Don't be me. Okay? Be kind, build relationships, but also be thinking over time, you may have multiple interviews. Who am I dealing with here? Now, I have a committee because we're going to be hiring a new accountant, okay, to help Dingwell. Not to replace, to help her. She needs other people, okay? And so, of course, I'm letting her go through some candidates, and we've got a committee. And the committee, let's play this game. I can tell you this information. If they didn't want to tell me, if they didn't want me to tell you all the information, they shouldn't give me all the information and have me chair the whole darn time. You have myself on the committee. Where am I on there? Expressive, all right? You have Dawn Dingwell on the committee. Where would you guys put Professor Dingwell? Yep. Very intentional, very factual. That's why I've got her going through the initial candidates. Okay. It's so funny. You get like, I got 18 applications, right? I did this, you know, so the librarian, Lori Hutchett, I was on her committee and she was Godson. But it was really funny when it struck me. That was the first search committee I was ever on eons ago. And one of the applicants was literally a cocktail waitress in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And her justification for being our new librarian was she really likes books. So that's a start, but did I interview her? You don't have to be much analytical to figure that out. But then when you got like 8 candidates, which we have right now, we need to start sorting them through. Don't you need somebody analytical? Me, I like everybody. Is that a good approach? No, she's analytical. She might not like as many people, but I can make a case and we can come to an agreement. Okay, so who's the other one? Anybody know Dr. Keaton? Ma'am? Is it good to get an outside perspective? I don't know what he is on this. And y'all haven't had him, so y'all don't know either. I suspect, and he's very friendly, but I think he might be right. Okay? And then I have Professor Pratt. Where is he on there? This is a good exercise, is it not? Y'all had Professor Pratt in religion?
I feel like he would be low-key a driver when it comes to situations like that, like towards like the top of the earth.
I think so. I think you could put him over here.
Because like he's nice and all, but he like.
I think he'd be here because he's not always fast-paced, but he is very task-oriented.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, squirrel! He can rein me in a little bit, right? But I can also pick him up. So I'm pretty sure this guy, Keaton, is the only one I don't really know. He's amiable. Dingwell's analytic. I'm definitely expressive. And Pratt's probably a driver.
Wait, who was the third person?
Jesse Keaton. He's a professor of math. He came in after, he came in with Sleeper. So he filled that spot. Yeah, he's good. We have somebody from every one. Lord help that person he interviews. If you ask me, and I'm an expressive, I want to interview 4 people up here. But that's not realistic, is it? Again, 4 people, 4 areas. Now, keep maybe more here, so I'm going to put him there. We'll see. I'll learn more about it. Don't you, hey, you know what? If you're one of my job candidates and you're watching this lecture somehow, you got all of it. Yes, I am chair of the committee. And yes, that's probably where all your committee members, they'll be interviewing you fall. If you've done this much research, I'm impressed. I want to hire you. Okay? But wouldn't you love to know going into the room that that's where people fall and who to play to? Is that always possible? 9 times out of 10, heck no. But after a few visits, if you're taking notes, if you're building relationships, if you can then discern which category these people fall into, can you then begin to reach them better? Yeah. I hear Barry Ward outside. Where is he? On this. That for sure, right?
Yeah.
This or that? Kirk Hansen's right around the corner. He's definitely, I don't mean this in like this is a credit. He's slower paced than I am, but he also gets in a lot less trouble. He's very intentional. Some people might say task-oriented, but I would definitely say relationship. He is absolutely an amiable. As a physician, he would drive me nuts. He would tell me he's writing on my product, and 3 months later, the Walmart data will show that he is not. But can you start to see how this might be very important in terms of your sales career?
Sorry.
Is yours going to break it down like mine does?
No.
Is that your mom?
No, it's one of my friends.
Oh, which one?
It's my friend John.
John is what?
He is probably, he's very relationship oriented. I'm gonna say he's expressive.
You see how easier it gets when you start thinking about it? Because at first you're like, crap, I don't know where anybody falls. To me, my first question is, are they fast or slow paced? Kiesler, fast paced. Hansen, slower paced. Kiesler and Hansen, relationship. I'm not saying this is a secret weapon, but this is a secret weapon. There's a reason why, and I'm a little disappointed they put it so far back in the chapter, but there's a reason why this is in a chapter that's all about your potential buyer of your product. And whether you guys go into actual expressive sales or not, like actual intentional sales positions, you are always selling yourself. So if nothing else, job interview time, you can be sitting there thinking, okay, is this person fast-paced or slow-paced? Okay, they're fast-paced. If they're fast-paced, are they seem like, you know, kind of task or relationship-oriented? Okay, task-oriented. They seem to be very fast-paced and task-oriented. They're a driver. When you think driver, think golf. You might be able to play it a little bit conservative. Middle of the fairway. Just put it, you know, just let's go for par. Okay? If they're expressive, get in the hole. Okay? Let it rip. If they're analytical, you better be very, very, very. Here's my degree, here's what we learned, we did PDEV, which gave me project management skills. It will translate to this job this way. I was this guy at Dow AgroScience selling to this guy at Dow AgroScience. The problem is I was this guy really selling to this guy at Dow AgroScience, and he was not feeling it. Same way if I tried to sell that one guy in Somerville. Hey, buddy, tell me about the kids. He doesn't have kids. All right, he powered down, like, you know, like Samsung on the back of his head. You know what I'm saying? He was a machine. You don't sell a machine the same way you sell to someone who wants to build a relationship. Cold cheek, where's he at? Dylan Cheek, well, he's a tough one. I've been going back and forth with my entire head since I looked at this. Let's start. Is he fast-paced or slow-paced?
I mean, he's already 3 semesters ahead, so I'm gonna say fast-paced.
I agree. I think he's close to an axis, but I think he's definitely fast-paced, which will put him on the right side. Is he task-oriented or relationship-oriented?
I feel like he's more fast.
At times I feel like task, at times I feel like relationship.
I'm working hard to read.
So I would put my dear friend Cold Cheek about right there. Definitely fast-paced, but can be either or. You see how that's valuable? Do you see how if you're calling on someone, if you started to put them in these categories, that it could affect, well, your effectiveness? Do you see how if you spend the first, 5 minutes of an interview trying to be not only polite and cognizant, you're already nervous, right? But trying to put one of them in one of these boxes, how it can affect the next 30 minutes of the interview? It's a secret freaking weapon, I'm here to tell you. I used it in sales. I use it with you guys in my office when we're not in a pandemic, okay? I'm telling you, you're acting up for something and you need to hear that talk, I know you're going to get that talk. You understand? If you're acting up and you need that talk, I know if I give you his talk, you're going to be a weeping puddle in the middle of my office. I can't use that approach with you. With you. Each one of them's different. Okay? I hope you know that I'm not teaching you concepts. I'm selling you on them. Have I sold you on the concept that you need to know which one of these people are? Good. I'm always confused. 10:50. Are we done? I'm over 4 minutes. You guys are so amiable. You could have been a driver and left 4 minutes ago.
I mean, they cut the class short already, so you might as well say it.
It's killing me a little slowly in time because I'm an expressive. I want my full 75 minutes. In fact, I want that twice a week for 150. Could you imagine what we could pull off in a year if we did that? The other 75 minutes would have been spent on the first part that I bookmarked. I'm glad I jumped to this because this is more important. Figure 3.7 where we talk about the different types of people. But here I marked the comparison of the buying decision process and corresponding steps in the selling process, the processes of the steps. I think that's important as well. Not that anything in the book isn't important, but I would have spent my next 75 minutes here. My first lecture, here every time. I hope you found it useful. All right. That, to me, is the most valuable thing I could teach you out of this chapter. And that's when we're doing this 50-minute high flex thing. That's what we're doing. I'll try to talk about the other stuff a little bit in my little short videos. Yeah, I like the little short videos. I'm trying to keep them to 10 minutes or less. They seem to be a big hit on the gram. Oh, Instagram for the kids. Okay. They seem to be a big hit on the gram. I have, if you see me post those on Instagram, look at the comments. I have people I used to work with in sales, both people I worked with and people I sold to, making comments. It's really fun. I'm trying to get Giovanni on there. Y'all see me and him going back and forth, you tell me we're not the same person. A little more, he's still out there on his Facebook stuff. I'm not. I don't think he's on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I can't deal with other people who, I don't know, think they convert me through the way of thinking by insulting me. It's not going to work. You are dismissed. Go on with your wonderful lives. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'm an expressive person, so I do not mind when you reach out to me. going to kind of freak you out for a little bit because you're going to be thinking about this. Oh, God, okay, what is this person? What is that person? What is this person? What is that person? Oh, that's sweet. I got a bottle of wine on my desk. It was a belated birthday or Christmas rather. I'm gonna treat it like my birthday. I'm gonna see. Hey, Kath, y'all got a cork? You know, cork popper? You know?
There we go. That was literally.
I will. That's okay. If you guys aren't here and I can't get it open, it's more for me. Hope you enjoyed that lecture.